Mike, I assume that you're here for the insurance question. We already took care of it, we got a little ahead of schedule. There was really no choice because it's being done as a block, as the Mako Trust. Did you have any questions or concerns you wanted to express at this point?
No, just I need to get a hold of, we need to have a conversation with them, I do, because it protects about 30% of the safety program.
Yeah. My hope is it will be, I know you've revitalized it, maybe another step in revitalization, so.
Okay, so we're going state funds, is what we're doing now?
And Sites Insurance, it's SEITZ,
Okay.
and they should be calling you shortly. This will not take effect until July 1st with the new budget year.
Oh, it won't take effect until then. Yeah, I'd like to have it in place though before July 1st.
Absolutely, and everything ironed out.
Yeah.
And I think that's their plan too.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that I deal with them and work comp and it's a lot of other stuff in there.
Yeah.
And Debbie Kelly.
Yes. Yeah, maybe a working meeting when we have some more to go with.
Yeah.
This just happened, so at this point it's still preliminary.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, we won't want to come in.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, so that is our full agenda, other than anything else that you would like to add. I have a couple of items.
I don't think I have anything new.
All right. I do have this memo, we talked about this. If you're good with that, or if you have any edits, totally open. And that would be ministerial.
Yeah, good, and I actually did get a chance to talk with Alice a little bit about that. I think she has a problem with that. You know, like I said, Mike has some extra tables that he can take over there. We found some at surplus.
Awesome.
We found some at surplus for very little,
Right?
so that's already taken care of. So I think that she has tables for sure. Mike said he has some chairs that we can donate. Stackable chairs.
Fantastic.
So I think we're good to go for at least for a while. And the discussion I had also was once we get to a certain amount of people using that building, they're going to go to the 4-H center or someplace else anyway. So anyway, I think we're okay.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. That's easy.
Yeah.
So the senior center, just to bring you up to speed, the Rotary Club wrote a grant to buy paint and new chairs.
I did hear that.
Yes, I think we should just make sure the commission is on official board to say we're good with it.
Okay.
So if you're good with it, I don't think it needs a motion, but we should have it on record that we're both
That we
yes to support. Yeah.
Yeah. And we did hear about that. We thought, oh, maybe we have some more chairs available for over there, but I think the Lions Club or somebody is ahead of us on some of the new chairs. So if there's some left over, we may still get some of those.
All right. All right, sounds good. So this commission is in support of the senior center
Yes.
project.
Yeah.
All right. The other one is, I just need to inform you that I will be gone the next 2 Mondays. I've been asked by the Montana Association of Counties to represent Montana on the National Justice and Public Safety Committee at NACO, and so I'll leave tomorrow for that. I'll be gone on Monday. And then I was also asked by the Board of Crime Control to represent the state for the National Criminal Justice Association Policy Summit, and we'll be gone the following Monday for that. So I'll bounce home from DC for a day and then bounce right back out. Had I known the two were going to coincide, I would have just stayed and played tourism for a day, or
Sure.
tourist. So
yeah, we'll communicate and talk about our agenda items and things like that.
sounds good. I will be available, phone calls, email.
Very good.
And so the other one, I was wondering if we could talk to you about the COPS grant.
Yeah,
Um,
certainly can.
I know there was a conversation between you guys already. I didn't know what impression I should gather from the Winston meeting about the COPS grant, and I haven't heard any updates, so
We kind
are
of
you
have a
guys
plan.
applying?
You know, I think it needs to be, so we just found out, what was it, January 26th or something, that it had opened up from years of litigation with the sanctuary cities and all. So it just opened up right about the times we started having our meetings for the public input. We did want to go to it, however, when I got my grant, you have to go log on and get a log on for your grant.gov or something. Got into that, looking through the directions, 107 pages long. A lot of information has to go into that. So I reached out to Mia Whitfield, who has written federal grants for us before. She's like, look, I just packed right now, I don't have time. So I did go talk to Nicole. She was definitely willing to help me out. But as started looking into, you know, our match, the equipment for officers and things like that, I think it's something that needs to be planned out a little bit more. So talked with Daryl last week, and I feel like you know, once we go out obviously for a mill levy, that would be rolled into that plan, and that I would sit down with Mia this summer and start working on that grant and get it hopefully taken care of for the following year. That's kind of where we're at with that, unless you had something else.
Well, and to bring you guys up to speed, the COPS grant is a grant a lot of sheriff's offices around the state, around the country get to help pay for officers. It has to be officers above your current roster, and the COPS grant will pay for 75% of the total RAP rate for an officer. It's up to the department to pay the other 25%, and then it's a 4-year grant. They pay the first 3 years, and then it's just up to the department to pay year 4, no obligation beyond that. The COPS grant has been on compiling money the last few years because of a couple of lawsuits in California. So this year in January, they told us we've got a surplus of money and we want to get it out. So this is a great year, great opportunity where they want to get more cops on the street. They want to fund this. It's a great opportunity. One of the thoughts that we had in a discussion about the COPS grant was that we could put aside money from PILT to help offset that 4th year. But with that would require you guys going out for a mill levy. So what you'd be doing on the front end is saying, we're going to give you these officers now, and if you like it, we need you to pay or, you know, approve a mill levy so that we can keep them for years 5, 6, 7, and so on. I'm concerned about waiting a year for this opportunity. Nicole's happy to help. I would be happy to write your narratives. I looked at the application. Yes, it's 107 pages long, but 3 pages of table of contents, a couple of your obligatory blank pages, a lot of pages of this complies with the federal act for such and such. Those are not part of the application. The meat of the application is a fraction of those pages, but because it's federal, they have to have all the verbiage. So I guess my purpose for bringing this up was to offer the writing and narration for the grant. I guess now I'm hoping that you'll change your mind and pursue it.
I mean, it's in a, you know, what do? You know, which way do you go? I think some of the issues that, one of the main issues that I have is, yes, you know, I think it's a great program. However, we want to go for 3 officers, which, you know, you're looking at additional $300,000 worth of equipment that needs to be bought for those officers. So where in the world are we going to come up with that? So
You would have to show a line item to total 300,000, because you have extra vehicles right now.
No, we don't.
Well, we need to see your CIP
So-
for vehicles, to know
Yeah,
that.
That's,
But that's, I think, 300. I'd wanna see that.
well, I can show, I can do a quick rundown, is 3 vehicles, just $60,000 with new equipment, because we have to buy all new equipment with the vehicles. There's $30,000 worth of equipment in each car that you guys own. The officer himself is, $1,200 vest, $500 gun, $1,000 taser, $500 body cam. I mean, I can just keep going and going and going. Rifles, shotguns, and it just compiles up. So I feel like we would really be rushing into it and getting these officers, and then not having a plan on how we're gonna equip them is gonna be the tough part, so.
The choice is yours. One thing we talked about also is us writing the grant, but we're not eligible. Has to be a law enforcement agency.
I don't know,
Choice is
Daryl, you
yours.
kinda know somewhat of our plan, I guess.
Well,
For your input
we
and-
talked about it, and, I guess we had made a firm decision on it. Was one of the things that we talked about, that if we only say we only decided to put in for one officer, something that we could afford, would we not be eligible for a specific amount of time to reapply? Was that true? Do we know that?
That's something that I don't know. I don't know that for a fact, so, I don't, maybe Laura, you could.
No, there's a number of jurisdictions that have annual
And you can
COPS
do it?
grants.
Okay,
Yeah, the reason it's such a push this year is because of the surplus money.
right.
Other years, you kind of get into the same thing you do with a grant, is it's a competitive process. There's a finite amount of money, and there's a lot more requests. This year, there's a lot of money, and it would be nice if the requests fall within that, so that everybody
Right.
is allowed to participate in the program. The other thing with a lot of these programs is once you get your foot in the door, then it's easier for continuation. This would be a great year to get the foot in the door.
So is your sense, so say we did ask for 3 officers, do you think we'd be successful with 3, or would we maybe get 1 or 2 out of that request? I'm just curious of what you've been hearing.
My sense is, because if we were looking at J24, my sense is we would have a really good shot because of what has happened there with officers in the past, the murders of 2 peace officers. I think that would translate hugely. And I think you can make a very strong point of the need. My thought always with these kinds of proposals is, if you aim high and you come in a little short, so you aim for 3 officers and you only get 1 or 2, you're still getting something extra to help serve the people of this county. If you aim low, well, you're never gonna get up here anyway. So my thought is always aim high. It's better to get partial, or at least the practice of putting in an application. There's a lot of grants where people will put in, get denied, and then get it the next year because they learn what they're doing. I don't get this sense because of the situation we're in with the COPS grant. So it's, to me, it's an opportunity that, it's just a golden opportunity.
Yeah, I would not argue with that whatsoever. I mean,
When do you
it is
think,
a great
Brandon, so,
program.
when do they make their appointments or whatever, where they say that we're successful?
Probably October, just like the rest
October.
of probably federal grants, I
So I
would
get-
say, and then January 1
Okay.
of 2021 is when you would get it.
So just thinking out loud here, I mean, if that's the case, we would know in October, be able to do something in January, right? If our mill levy is successful, we're still not gonna receive funds until November, is that correct? So,
At the training, they had mentioned that this would actually be done this spring. This is a
Oh,
very
is it sooner?
quick
Okay.
turnaround.
okay,
Now, if we were successful, just because we don't have the money coming in, wouldn't mean that we wouldn't be able to plan.
right,
Now, of course, we won't know till November if the mill levy is successful, but I do think if you have a COPS grant on the front end, it makes passing that mill levy a lot easier, because the promise is not a promise, it's a guarantee, because you've already done it. The PR is stronger.
Well, definitely in favor of getting more officers on the street. I'm just, you know, it's the other costs that worry me on how we're gonna equip those officers. You know, I know vehicles are a big source of contention sometimes, but what we have is our 2 new vehicles are just came in. I actually have our second one just got here. But, you know, a couple months of getting those set out, but what we're taking all the equipment out of, that we can transfer over, and putting it into those vehicles. So those vehicles that are left are just a shell, really, just a regular vehicle anymore. So that's where I say, no, we won't have the vehicles. So, you know, that's where the big cost is equipping. You know, the COPS grant is great, the 75% is a huge amount. Now, they do have the micro grants that I don't know too much about. I'm assuming that's more of the equipment side of things.
They've got a number of grants for equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they could be married together.
Well, I mean, I think we can get you the help, Grant. I know that this is a short time period for you. I think that we can get you the help that Commissioner Olver offered. I know that Bill, like you said, you have some experience there that he could probably help us with as well, if that's something. I think we can get you the help if you guys decide to go forward. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I can talk to the sheriff. You know, my biggest thing is I'm not a grant writer.
Mhm.
And, I mean, you know, you look at that and I mean, they're talking about forms and you're just trying to, let alone me trying to track down some of those forms, was confusing to me. So, I mean, I definitely would, you know, accept the offer of the help and things like that, and make a call to the sheriff and see what he thinks, and then I'll let you know what we got.
There's a form you
Chair.
have, yes,
Can I make a comment?
please.
Brandon, if you don't ask for it, the answer is no.
Yeah, and we're definitely aware of that. We had a meeting the other night about the mill levy, and Darryl was present to, you know, try to create a plan, and the COPS grant was part of that plan, a little bit off of what you're you know, offering first versus you know, later. So it's definitely part of the plan. It's just presented a little differently, I guess. So, well aware of there's a huge amount of money that's been put away for the first last 2 or 3 years, because the COPS grant has been continuing to receive this large amount of money, and there hasn't been any new applicants for 2 years. So that's why this year is the best. They sat through a meeting with the Attorney General, is it Kurt Alney, I believe so.
U.S. isn't it?
Yeah, U.S. Attorney Kurt Alney and some of those grant people at a sheriff's convention. They explained all that, so I'm aware of that, but just trying to figure out where we're going to come up with the stuff that we're going to have to supply if we're awarded. So that's kind of where I'm at.
The Bureau of Reclamation, we just did a federal grant to get the Silos Master Plan. There's some federal documents you have to get, some federal numbers you have to get. You have to get that with the COPS grant, and it takes a little time. We've already done the process. Debbie worked on it upstairs. If you're interested, you've got a lot of resources. You just need to ask us for help. Debbie can help. Cole will help. I will help. I would work on this at night while I'm gone. So if you guys are interested, reach out for that help. And like Ann said, you know, if you don't ask, the answer's no. If you shoot for 3 and you get 1, aren't we still in the good?
Yeah, I mean, anything's better, that's for sure. So, I'll get back to you and let you know. I appreciate it, though. Thank you.
all right. Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks. That's all I have unless there's any more public comment or if you have anything. All right, with that then, at 11:19, we are adjourned.
This is that second one.
Oh,
If you guys,
yeah.
they're good about
Okay.
sending me